I apologise that the video has taken so long to produce. I bumped into a few problems, but now I'm back. So to continue, I am XenoGenic, and welcome to episode 3 of TF2 Loadup. This week's loadout comes from ShadowFanJJ, who has suggested the Bloody Scout loadout, which consists of the scattergun, flying guillotine, and the fan of war. Let's begin. The primary weapon, the scattergun. It is a default primary weapon for the Scout. Strange versions can be obtained through unboxes, the Australian version through MVM, the Two Towns city drops, and skin versions through the Gunmetal campaign or the Tough Break campaign and their cases. The scattergun is a hit scan detection gun, which is a spread of the area of the projectiles. The scattergun carries 6 shells in the gun and a total of 32 in reserve, each shell shooting 10 pellets. Damage models on the scattergun start at 10.5 damage per pellet at close range, dealing a total of 90 to 105. 6 damage per pellet, giving a total of 10 to 40 damage at mid range, and 3 damage per pellet at long range, dealing a total of 3 to 10 damage. These depend on the hit scan area to determine the overall damage, with its range per pellet. Mini-crits start at long range at 8.1 to 14.2 at close range, dealing between 8.1 damage and 142 depending on the range and hit scan area, and the criticals start at 18 per pellet, meaning you can deal a 480 damage with a full hit scan shot. As I mentioned in my previous videos about hit scans determine on the area of the projectiles that add up the damage, range, and scan area. But the scattergun is a deadly weapon and is commonly used by most scouts in PvP. Its deadly accuracy and high capacity keeps the fight going, as well as its lever reloads the shells instead of the pump action, like most shotguns, and a higher damage output and range. It takes a while to master the scattergun, while double jumping, putting your reticle over the enemy to ensure that you get a full hit scan hit takes time and a lot of concentration and dedication. You can easily 2-shot most enemies, and 3-shot a heavy depending on the range. In terms of MVM, scattergun is an okay weapon. As a scout, your main job is to collect money to support the team later on in waves. The scattergun is there to defend yourself or to pick whatever weaker enemies along the process, such as spies and snipers. Since there's no positive perk to this weapon, a soda popper would be more suited for MVM due to the higher stock fire rate, stock reload, and its jump buff. Next is the flying guillotine, a throwable melee weapon for the Scout, which can be obtained through crafting, drops, or unboxing. The guillotine's perks are upon hitting an enemy, the enemy affected by the guillotine will bleed. Long distance guillotine hits cause mini crits as well as mini crit bleeds. And when the enemy is stunned, it deals 100% critical hits. This weapon sadly does not grant random critical hits. Since the guillotine is a throwable weapon, it requires a recharge every time it's thrown, which takes 6 seconds to fully recharge. Damage models on the guillotine start at 50 upon hitting an enemy. Mini crits start at 68 and 150 with critical hits. Bleeding, like Afterburn, with a flame weapon, deals damage per tick, but bleeding doesn't last as long. However, it does deal more damage per tick. Bleeding times last for 8 seconds, dealing 5 damage per second, giving a total of 40 damage throughout the time. Mini crits start at 10.8 damage, giving a total of 54 damage over 8 seconds. And when an enemy is stunned, it still can deal critical bleeding damage, which takes 24 health per second, leading to a huge 192 damage over time. Combining the stun damage of a regular Sandman of 15 plus 150 with the critical guillotine hit plus 192 bleeding damage leads to 357 damage. Bleeding can be stopped with a med pack or a friendly medic. In PvP, the weapon is quite crazy. Picking off targets from a medium range or even dealing bleeding damage can kill an enemy within seconds, depending on health and if they have any mini crit debuffs or any other incoming damage. The guillotine is a great choice for PvP for those who can throw it really accurate. In terms of MVM, however, the weapon is very, very bad. It's useless. It's weapon built for a single target. Even then, when the robots have perks that regen health, the guillotine becomes a tickle weapon. Even against giants, the weapon does not deal enough damage to be good. The funny thing is, I wanted to see if this works on a tank. It doesn't. It bounces straight off the tank, making it useless again in MVM. Plus, even with its recharge bonus, it's still pointless. And lastly is the Fan of War, a melee weapon for the Scout which can be obtained through drops, crafting, or an unbox. which is a great support weapon. Upon hitting a target, will cause them to be marked for death, which causes all incoming damage to be dealt in mini crits, and the Fan of War will crit whenever it would normally mini crit. At the cost, the weapon deals 75% less damage. Damage models start at 9 per hit and 26 on critical hits. Mark for death lasts for 15 seconds. The Fan of War is a great support weapon in PvP. Upon hitting an enemy and marking them for death, can deal mini crits for your teams, mainly when a medic with a Critzerig is not present to deal quick damage, as well as it stacks with any afterburn, bleeding effects, or even mad milk bonuses. The damage output will be higher, and the health regen will be higher as well. In MVM, however, it's amazing. Dealing mini crits on the giant robots can demolish them in a near instant with a mark for death. This gets helpful in later waves when enemies such as Sir Nukesalot or major crits require heavy damage output to kill them quicker, and more helpful when a soldier's buff banner expires, so they can focus on killing while he recharges the buff. Now, in terms of this loadout in PvP, it's amazing. Dealing a quick hit with the Fan of War and then swapping over to your scattergun can instantly kill most classes with a full hit scan hit, and the guillotine just makes it a lot better. Dealing long distance mini crits with the guillotine can kill a heavy extremely fast with bleed out. The loadout is mainly for support and a quick solo damage dealer, amazing for PvP as I said. In MVM however, the loadout is okay, but the guillotine is terrible for it. As a scout in MVM, your job is to collect money, dodge most incoming fire, and to provide support for your teammates. Mini crits of the Fan of War and getting near instant healing with the Mad Milk is better for your support role in MVM, that your team doesn't get killed and they can keep going when the other support isn't around. And that concludes today's episode of TF2 Loadup. Make sure you write in the comments section below on what loadout you'd like me to review next, and also make sure to give a like on the video and subscribe for more content. For now, I'm XenoGenic, and I'll see you in the next episode of TF2 Loadup.